Welcome to Country Stitchers. We were playing a little game there. We both had a stylus pen, and we were trying to see which one of us would get the video to actually begin, and I won. I let her choose the weapon, too. I said, you pick. So anyway, welcome to Country
This
Stitchers.
one's broken.
Wah. I'm Liz.
Hi, I'm Deb.
We're here because we love needlework. We like to share the joy of needlework with each other.
Yep.
And about almost 3 years ago now, we decided we would share it on YouTube. So we're enjoying ourselves.
No, just 2 years.
Is it 2?
Yeah, middle of March was our second anniversary.
So we're going into our
Yeah.
third, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I knew there's a 3 there
Yeah.
somewhere. I could work on a 3. I knew I could.
Don't make us older than we are.
Oh,
Speaking of,
that's a sensitive issue, isn't it?
Someone just had a birthday.
Yes, I did. I did. And I will say, I have a twin sister, and she is old now. Carol turned 60. No, I've never had an
You turned
issue about
30?
years. I did a while ago. Almost 30. Oh my gosh, 30 years ago. No, I don't have an issue with age. We all have a certain number of years here, and I'm going to enjoy the ones I have, and thankfully I have you,
Yes.
my sister, to enjoy them with.
Yes, and she had a nice birthday because it was just celebration after celebration after
was.
celebration. Doing it right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun. My husband surprised me Saturday with the church group. They came over and did a cookout, and gosh, everybody stayed for like 5 hours. We were out there, and it was nice. We had Rick put fans outside, and the air was moving, and it was overcast, so it
Good.
wasn't really hot.
Yeah.
We had a good time, and then
Yep.
Sunday was a little quieter. Monday, Deb had a lunch for me, and we stitched together and had a nice afternoon. And then Tuesday was my actual birthday, and my sister and I, the hurricane came through Monday night, and we were thinking that maybe we would postpone it. And I texted Deb, I said, if it's not stopped by 3, I don't want to go in to eat wet, so I don't want to mess with it. So we looked at the radar in the morning, and Deb texted me, she says, it looks like it's going to be clear at 3 o'clock. And I said, I know it's so. Then I texted Carol later, and we talked, and ended up, we were out the door and having a nice
And it was
dinner.
beautiful.
It
by
was.
then.
And
Oh
the
my
temperature came
goodness,
down. It wasn't
beautiful.
hot.
Nope, perfect.
So we really enjoyed that.
Nice.
And then I just said to myself, Tuesday after dinner, we got home, and I thought, we had an early dinner, and I thought, I'm stitching. That's what I'm doing for the rest of my birthday.
There you go.
And I did. I stitched until 3 the next morning.
Oh my gosh.
Rick fell asleep on the recliner, and I'm like, I'm having a good time. So that was fun.
Oh.
And I'm trying to figure out how I can get more out of it the remainder of this week yet. I figure I can pull something out of the hat.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with something.
Yeah. Oh,
What?
I forgot. We do have something. We got the pizzas.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
My son Kevin,
Yes.
when he was here this summer, I said to him that I would love to have some Chicago deep dish pizza the way they make it. And I said, I know you can order it, have it shipped frozen. I said, could you just tell me how I go about doing that? So a couple of weeks went by, and I said, did you check on that for me? Because I'm thinking of ordering it for my birthday. And he said, Mom, he said, it's more expensive to ship it than to pay for the pizzas. And I said, I know, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. And he goes, well, if you're going to eat it, I'll do it for your birthday, but you have to get together with Deb and Matt and have your pizza and think of me, and I'll send it. And I said, cool. All right.
Yay, Kevin.
So those things arrived on Wednesday. So that was the day after my birthday. So it was still continuing.
Nice.
And now we have to eat the pizza.
That's
so,
right. That's right.
So we got to check your
Sweet.
calendar.
Yes, we got to pick a date.
And, Rick tried to get me to cut into one of those last night.
What?
Yeah. He said,
You should keep them here.
he
No,
said-
actually, never mind. That won't work either.
I can see
You gotta
Logan
hide-
going, huh?
Yeah.
Pizza?
Yeah.
But it was funny because he said, I think I've decided what would make my afternoon fun. Because I was telling him he needed some downtime. He'd been busy straight out. I said, you need some downtime. I said, why don't you just think of somewhere to go or go do something you want to do?
Is that like hint, hint, get out of here?
That was quietly underlying that. Marital relations being what they are. So I said, what did you have in mind? He goes, let's cut into one of those pizzas Kevin sent for dinner. And I said,
Shame on him.
Already have a date for the pizzas. And I said, and they're not all that big. We got to get another pizza in the mix too. So I said, can't do that.
Yeah.
So that was funny, but yes, thank you.
Yeah,
we
I'm
had
excited for that.
Good
That's
birthday
awesome.
week. We do want to say welcome to our new viewers and our subscribers who have been around for eons. And just let our new viewers know there's a couple things we might talk about that you may not have been familiar with. One of them is Floss Friends. We got a question about that not long ago. That's what we decided to call those of you who join us on our videos. And then we actually do a video format where we stitch and visit and share that with you from time to time. So that's what we mean when we say Floss Friends. We're talking about you.
Yep.
And then we have a new acronym, FIP, which is Finish in Progress. Please, what is it, Deb? I can't remember. And so from time to time when we're finishing something, we're not going to show it to you when it's completed. We're going to show it to you in process. And we do have one of those today.
Yeah.
And we also love to share the joy of needlework. Today is going to be one of those days where you're not going to want to just scrub through the video because we're taking opportunities today to share a little more joy than normal. So pick up a pencil and paper so you get it straight and you're ready to go and don't miss too much.
Yeah, and thank you so much to all the new subscribers. And
Yes.
like Liz said, those of you that have been with us since day one, thank you so much.
And if you hear our alarm go off, that's because from very early
Deb's
on,
got to set it.
hint, hint, we have done our subscriber tribute where we choose 2 subscribers and we surprise you with something to do with needlework, and it varies. So don't scroll too fast, like I said. You might miss it. And we also like to just pull out a couple of comments from the ones that you leave that we think might be something everybody might enjoy hearing or something we might be able to share with other people besides just one person. So want to work through some comments now?
Sure.
Can I start with?
Yes.
I have one. I last video realized that I had never said which twin I was in a former video where I showed a picture of my mother holding me and my twin sister.
No, you did though.
I did.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Last video I announced which twin I was because I had forgotten to with the pandemic and being apart, and it was over Mother's Day when I did it. I never got back and did it. So Cindy said in her message, Cindy's cross stitch, she said, I picked you out, Liz.
Yep.
So thanks, Cindy. It was kind of funny. It was, Deb said she wouldn't have picked me out. At some point, I'm going to bring like a high school picture in here and show you the 2 of us, and then maybe you'll see the similarity between the baby and the high school.
Yeah, okay.
But,
All right. All right, let's get going with some comments. Just So Sherry. She wanted to know on the Prim Sew Along, that I started, I'm stitching over 1, and do I like the coverage of the Aurifil thread? I do like that a lot. And so this is the Aurifil, and these are the colors on that Prim Stitch Along. And I use 1 strand because I'm stitching over 1 on that material that was sent to us from Fat Quarter Shop. Do you remember the count? Is that 25? Count?
on the
Do you
Prim?
remember the Prim?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
Is
it is.
Okay. And
That's
I'll
the
show
one
you.
called Overcast? Or that's the one I did. The
No.
Christmas one is Overcast.
Right, yeah.
That's right.
I think it's just called Prim.
It is, yep.
But it's 25 count, and I'll show you that in a little bit because that's my work, one of my works in progress. But I do like that Aurifil, and you can purchase that right through Fat Quarter Shop.
And it's 6 strand, right?
It is.
Just like
yeah.
the Floss, DMC Floss.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Crystal Smith. Oh, she wanted to know where I got my green top that I had on. I get 90% of my clothes from consignment shops. I did take Liz. I took Liz shopping a couple weeks ago, and we went to Kohl's and found some stuff there for like 85% off. And then we had a coupon, and then you also got Kohl's cash. So it's almost like they're giving you stuff. And it was like yard sale prices. That was awesome.
It was a good sale.
It was. That was fun. But no, other than that, I shop at consignment shops. We have a lot of really nice ones I think, in our area, and then up near the cabin. So that's what I do. Or I go to my daughter's closet. We like to share clothes too.
Donna sent me a note. She said that her favorite color, we were talking about colors and crayons, and
Oh, yes.
I mentioned cornflower blue. That was my favorite as a kid, and even the 64 count boxes were where you could find it. It didn't come in the 24s. It might have been in the 48s, but I never had a 48. So I thought that was kind of fun because that's my favorite color. She said it was hers too.
That was one of the best things, to get a fresh box of crayons.
Yes.
And they were all so pretty and so pointy and not messed up.
Would it surprise you to know I saved my allowance to buy new crayons?
I think I did too.
Yeah.
I loved getting a box
When
of
I wore the
crayons.
tip down, forget
Love
the
it.
sharpener. I never thought
Yeah.
the sharpening crayons was very fun.
Yeah.
I wanted new ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Nancy, she wants to know, when you work with variegated thread, do you have to work one completed stitch at a time, or do you cross the row, come back again, and finish the stitches? And does it even matter? It's all personal preference. We have said before, you can do whatever you want to do and just play around with it, because some of your threads are really variegated and some not so much. Some people loop it and stitch away. Some people put the strands side by side and stitch down a row and come back and do it like that. Other people just completely and totally mess around with it and jump around, you know, think about shading, that kind of stuff. But it is all personal preference. Really, truly it is. It's up to you.
I took a class with Beth Seals.
Yeah, we did that. Yep.
And was it in our class that she did it first? She was the first person I saw who took her variegated floss and looped it and used it that way in her piece. And she said, you still see the variegation throughout. It's just a different look to the variegation. And I have retained that ever since. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. I think she does that all the time, doesn't she?
Yep. That's how she does it. She says, I don't want to mess with anchoring my floss, and I want to stitch. Carolyn Parker left a note that she said that she stitches with her sister, and she, I think, was a twin also, and she said they enjoy stitching together. Well, my sister does not stitch. In fact, she runs from things with sharp points on them. She does not. And the funny thing was, she took FFA in high school.
Yeah.
And she took it so she could do their home ec program. Back in the day, they had a home ec section in. No,
Oh,
wait.
FFA?
It wasn't FFA.
I was gonna say.
It was, no, I mistook it.
That's Future
4-H.
Farmers of America. Oh,
Yeah,
4-H.
4-H.
Okay, yeah.
Same
yeah.
idea, but she did the home ec side of what used to be 4-H. I don't know if they even still have it. And she did a sewing box. That was the requirement. And I remember being so jealous that she had a toolbox with sewing stuff in it, and I didn't. I could have done it. I didn't have any interest in that at that point in time. And so she did, and it was so funny because then after that, she wanted my mom and I to stitch her things. She loved what we stitched, but she didn't want to do it.
Oh.
So for her birthday, she's a camper. Her and her husband bought a camper, and I thought, what am I going to do for her? I mean, when you get to be at this stage in your life, there's not a lot of things you want that you may not already have, and we don't get together that often for me to know that there's some really unique thing I could get for her. So I decided to stitch something for her, and this had come to us from Fat Quarters, and I thought, oh, how perfect, it's a trailer. So I took it and I changed the colors a little bit, and I did it in greens and yellows because yellow's her favorite color. And what I did was I did a little sewing kit, for her trailer. Because I thought, you know, when you're out somewhere like that, if you need a needle and thread, that's the last thing you have with you. So this little scissor fob I attached to a pair of the silicone covered scissors and the little trailer on it. That came from Etsy. And then I did isn't that cute?
Very cute. Yeah.
I did the pin cushion on Newport, and then I attached a little ribbon with like 3 different colors of floss that matches the pin cushion, which I don't care if she can use them or not. And then there's 2 pins up in the pin cushion, and then I put those little tag safety pins on them that are a little bronze color. She loved it. She said, so where did you find the pillow? I said, where did I find the pillow? You're talking to a needleworker. I didn't find it. So anyway, that's what I did for her. And she liked it. She said, this is so cool. She said, my friends are going to be jealous. She said, they come to me now going, Carol, you have to have a needle and thread. And nope, I didn't have it. So that was fun.
That's cool.
So thanks for the comment, Carolyn, about your sister.
Faye, she said, when I mentioned about the Orifloss thread that we're using for the Prim Stitch series, I mentioned that it reminds me of flower thread. That's true. It does, because it doesn't have a lot of sheen like DMC, and it feels a little stiffer to me, just like flower thread does. And Liz is working on some things with flower thread. And she wanted to know how many strands I'm using. I'm only using one because, again, I'm stitching over one. So I'm just using one thread.
I'm going to show you what I'm doing with flower thread.
Yes.
Actually, and this brings up another topic too, because Deb and I, when we were together on Monday, we were watching some Floss tube, and we ran across a new Floss tuber, but certainly not anybody new to needlework. Jean Farish has a new Floss tube video out, and we'll put that link in our description box so you can visit her. And then I wanted to show you, it was like everything just kismet, just all fit together all at once in what we were watching her do. This was the commemorative sampler that went to Jean's Spirit of Cross Stitch Festival in 1996. That used to be something that she coordinated and put on for stitchers. That was a mouse pad, not that I would ever get a gadget. And that was the first retreat I ever went to, and it was with my sister and my mom, and that was the sampler. Well, back in the day when Stitch World would put out patterns, the designers often not only put in the DMC equivalent, but in this case they put in the Jenny Thompson flower thread, DMC flower thread, anchor, and DMC thread conversions for the pattern. So this was the actual pattern for the sampler to that year's cross stitch convention, and I had to have that, and I decided to do it in flower thread. So
It's a cute sampler.
And you're going to get to see something else on this sampler as well. I was hoping to get some work done on it this week, but I didn't. But I used the Easy Guide thread on here and marked off the sampler, because this was one of the first samplers that I had done from a pattern that wasn't just real square sampler, you know, like little boxes of things. And so I wanted to make sure that I counted it properly. So back in the day I had set it up like this, and then this was the palette of colors that are in the sampler, and I found the flower thread for all of those, and it's really a pretty color palette for
What
that.
count fabric is that?
This is 28 count that I'm stitching on here. And it's just a basic white linen that I picked out of my stash when I started doing it. So anyway, when we were watching her video, it was kind of fun because she was looking at a piece and she said, I think I want to share tips. So I'm not going to explain the tip that she did, but I will show you what I was able to use it on. Was this little pattern that we did at Silver Needle. And her stitch is a way, it's just a different construction of a basic cross stitch, and it's used to travel from right to left on your piece, and I actually was able to use it on here, and this is the row that I traveled across with it. And it's just, when you get to her video you'll see it, and she demonstrates it for you, so enjoy seeing that. Oh, but since I have you, I did get my house done on this piece, and I also decided, instead of making this Americana, because I don't have that theme in my house, I thought I'd put my initials up here and make this just a small little flag that has like 2 curls in it with my initials. And then I'm going to put the little bird and a couple more little Quaker motifs in here. So that'll be fun. And I have an idea for finishing this, but I'm not going to spill those beans yet.
Yeah.
And then I had one other question myself about flower thread from Deb. Not this Deb. Jinx. And she sent us some things, and you'll see some of the things she sent us. But she sent this thread, and I can understand why she might have asked if it was flower thread. It's a cotton thread, but a lot of times kits will use cotton thread that comes from vendors that has a twist in it. It's not really flower thread per se. It's just not stranded cotton. And that, I think, is what you were looking at in those threads there. See where she might have been confused.
Yeah.
I've gotten kits before, especially little ornament kits and things, and I'm not sure who makes this thread, but it is often seen in these little kits. So then I had a quick flower thread follow-up for Marty Cox. You might remember she sent this conversion chart for Danish threads, not a conversion chart, I'm sorry, a reference chart for the Danish threads. And so I used this, and I converted my floss on my Mon Ami Pierre pattern. And this pattern is no longer being printed. I'm not going to go into a lot of discussion about it because we did talk about this back several videos ago when we were looking at Christmas patterns. But this is the pattern that I'm going to use the flower thread for. So I went through and converted it. Now I just have to figure out how to convert my DMC flower thread, or my Danish flower thread colors, to the DMC flower thread numbers that I have. So I have to do a conversion there yet. But these are the basic colors in the piece. So it's not a lot of colors that I had to look at. But what happens is some of these browns, for instance, only have one conversion factor.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to see if I have some other flower threads, maybe not the Danish threads or the DMC, but maybe even if I have a different shade of a brown in another type of flower thread, like Jenny Thompson or something like that.
All right.
And then see if I can break it down a little bit more. So when I get those converted, I'll show them to you. So it was funny because I thought, wow, this is the week of flower thread.
Yeah.
So somebody, I probably have a link on one of our videos that took people to our video that we talked about it or something, and so everybody got to chatting about it. But so that's where we are with all the flower thread discussion. And thank
Love
you,
that
Jean.
pattern.
Nice video, and we wish you well with your future videos.
Crystal, she wants to know if I'm using the Call for colors for the Prim Stitch series. I am using what's in the Aura floss box. I might not be using it where they said.
Imagine that.
So yes and no.
Are you changing something?
Susan, she wanted to know, since I don't care for pink and purple, did you swap out the colors in the historical sampler? She's kitting it up in DMC, and there are a few pinks and purples. I think you're talking about that Around the World one that I call the historical sampler.
Oh,
that big one?
I thought she might have been referring to the one that Plum Street Sampler did that's a historical sampler. Okay.
Oh gosh, now I don't know. I'm not sure. I wonder which one you meant, Susan.
But if she was addressing it to you, it would have to be a piece you're working on, right?
But you're right. I showed that I bought that one.
Yeah.
So now I'm not sure. If you mean the historical, the big one that I did, there's so many different colors in that.
That's
that me using a pink here or a little bit of purple, that doesn't bother me at all. I don't want the majority of something that I'm stitching to have a lot of pinks or purples in it, because I don't decorate with pink and purple. That's all. It's not that I won't.
I feel like I should be wearing a different shirt. I wore the wrong shirt today.
Go home and change. No, I mean, I have a coral one. It's not that I, definitely won't ever stitch something to highlight it in pink or purple. I just don't want it to be the focus of something. That's all.
No, it's not your basic decorating colors at all.
But I didn't even think of that it could be that other historical sampler you're referring to.
So,
and if that's the one you meant, I am choosing different colors for that one. So
yeah, because the other one we used to refer to it as the mystery sampler, or the Round the
Or the
World
Round the
Sampler.
World
So
Sampler.
I think
Yeah.
maybe that one.
Yeah.
That's what came to my mind.
Okay, all right.
Blame me.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
I had a question from someone by email, and forgive me because I did not write down the name of the person who asked the question, but it was about whether or not we could direct them in finding a book or something that might give them information about basic stitching. And there is a book that Deb has one too, by Jane Greenoff. It's called The Cross Stitcher's Bible. And this, I actually read cover to cover twice. And I use it for reference. I absolutely love it. And this is a newer version. It's easy to use. She's got it in a spiral binding, so it lays nice and flat. And it's just filled with information about the industry of cross stitch, the things we use to stitch, and then she has a nice little pattern library in the back of her motifs and things you can stitch. So I highly recommend this, and I will put a link to Jane's site as well as the book if it's still available. It was on Amazon for quite a while, so I know it's still available. It's just a matter of where to direct you, so I'll try to get that link in there too.
Okay. Yep, that's a good one. A couple videos back, I used to have this pillow sitting on one of those shelves back there, and someone wanted to see it up closer. So this, and was wondering what the pattern was. This is a pattern, Liz gave it to me actually. It was in a calendar that she got, and it's a popcorn pattern. And then a lot of the popcorn patterns ended up being in the overseas magazine called World of Cross Stitching. And so anyway, this one came from one of the calendars that you had. Yep. And I did date it, and it says 2011. So this was a lot of fun and adorable, very, very cute. In the sunflower, I did French knots up there. And there's, you know, some half stitches and quarter stitches and outline and things like that. And then just put some, so this fabric to this fabric, and then put some rickrack, and then this extra fabric that I had, which is actually what's covering our chairs that we're sitting in for the craft room. I had some extra fabric of that, and that's what I chose to go along with it. But it's a popcorn pattern.
It was funny because my friend Elva was a pen pal, and she's in England. And we met because I was looking in a magazine looking for anyone who might be able to help me locate some of those popcorn patterns, because I was doing teddy bears for my granddaughters. And the September issue that has the calendar came out, and she ran to the grocery store. They sell those in the grocery stores. Doesn't that just...
Nice.
Oh, I wish they sold our cross-stitch magazines in the grocery stores. So she ran down, she got a copy before they ran out, and she sent me a fresh copy of the magazine that came with that year's calendar, and popcorn was the one. And so when I got here and Deb and I met, that was sitting in my craft room when we were stitching one day, and she was like, oh, that's cute. She had that little sucker done in, what, a week and a half, I think?
Yeah, I love teddy bears. And I remember sitting by the pool. I stitched that in the summer, sitting by the pool. Yep.
That was fun.
Yep. That's a cool one. That was a fun one to stitch.
You know
and
what?
it was all in DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give something away.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Alrighty. Do it.
Okay. Stitchers. I am sharing this with you. This came from a viewer, Melissa DeMoss, and she she wrote a little note, stuck it in with this. It says, needles up, exclamation point. So this is a Fern Ridge Collections pattern. It is a needle book kit. It's actually not just the pattern. Everything you need to stitch this little fall piece for Halloween is in here. It's got the fabric lining, the stitching linen.
That awesome spider web button, or whatever you want to
Yes,
call it.
that
That's
charm.
so
It's
cool.
all the beads are here. Those beads are very alluring. There's some real sort of holographic looking beads. So if you enjoy stitching Halloween, you may already have done the fob that goes with this. If you have an interest, please leave us a comment. Make sure you're a subscriber, and make sure that you have set your setting in your account on YouTube to say that you want your subscription to be public. If you don't set that, we do not see you as a subscriber, and you won't be included when we review people who want to receive things from us as a subscriber. So make sure that setting is set, and then why don't you put Halloween in the comment, and we'll know that this is what you're interested in.
Cool. That is
Thank
so
you,
nice.
Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa. So sweet. Karen, she wanted to know if I could let her know the kit number on the, it's either a Paco kit or Paco, I'm not sure how to say it, but when I was holding up all of the kits, because we're going to be doing an awesome grab bag giveaway today at some point for our 10,000 subscribers, this was one that I held up and it caught her eye right away. So yes, the number is 238.575. I would imagine that's the only number we can find on it. So maybe
Does that remind you of
that
something
will help you out.
English? It does me too.
It does, yeah. Yeah, so hopefully that'll help you out, but that will be in someone's grab bag.
And that's a DMC floss kit. It's really nice.
Yes, yes. Amber, she wanted to know how we all met and if we were related. She also loves the porch talks with McKenna. Thank you, that's really sweet. She's a funny kid. So we met at my very first like stitching convention, I guess you'd call it, a retreat. They were having one in Lancaster.
We commuted.
Yeah, yeah, about 10 minutes. And it was the Stitching Jubilee, right? And
By Stony Creek.
By Stony Creek. We met like the very first day.
Very first
down
day.
in the
Very first booth.
yeah
Right
down
in the registration.
oh, what did they call
Vendor
that?
mall.
The vendor mall, and it was actually really nice too. And realized we were neighbors pretty much, you know, and that was just the beginning of feeling like we've known each other forever.
I was actually looking at a stitching frame, and I heard a voice behind me say, "Oh, I use those. Those are awesome." And I turned around and I looked at her name tag, and it said Peckway under it, and I went, "No way, no way!" Our towns border each other, and my parents actually ended up that they lived around the corner from each other in this development. Only my parents had moved, but their house was right down the street from where they lived. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then the rest, it was like a 3-day retreat. And the rest of the time, we just commuted. I picked her up every morning, and we hung out all day, and I brought her home at night.
And within 2 weeks, we were stitching together at least once every 2 weeks. Sometimes once a week if we could get it in.
Yep. And
So-
now we live even closer because we both live in Willow Street. So, I mean, I could walk to Liz's house.
Or ride her ATV in the snow, which
yeah,
she
we
has
do that
done.
too.
I hear rum, 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 rum in the driveway one time during a snowstorm, and there's Deb and Logan.
But yes, that's how we met. And so we're not related by blood, but yes, I definitely consider Liz family. That's for sure. I always
My
told my kids
sister.
growing up, you know, you're stuck with the family you're born into. Hopefully you're stuck with a good one. And you're stuck with the family you marry into, which again, hopefully you're stuck with a good one. But your friends are family that you get to choose in life. So choose well. And I definitely chose well. So
I did too. Amen.
yeah. So that's our story.
Yes. And if you want more detail about it, or you want to see the early videos, go back and watch the early videos, because we tell that kind of story when we first start.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
Yep. And now I can't even remember a time not knowing you.
I know. I thought about this the other day. Do you know I've lived in this house longer than any other house?
Anywhere, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm very nomadic.
Yeah. Colorado Blue Skies Boutique. I like that. That's cute. She said, were you in an art room or a store setting? Either way, love the room. This is my craft room. It was funny. And then someone else wanted to know if we ever owned a stitching store.
Nope.
Nope, not
If
yet.
you have one you're giving away,
Yeah.
you can email us. Information's in the description box.
Oh gosh. Rain Jude, she wanted to know, she hasn't used Pearl Cotton yet, and she would like to try them. So what size Pearl Cotton would you use on 18 count? And is it 1 or 2 strands? Pearl Cotton's always 1 strand, And there are many different sizes of it. But if you were stitching on an 18 count, you might not want to go under an 8. You might want to go 8, 12. I mean, again, like we always say, get a little scrap piece of fabric and play around, see what you like. What kind of coverage do you want, you know?
Try different color threads when you do it, because some threads just look better with their coverage at, you know, 1 than some other ones don't. So
yeah, but pearl cotton's very nice. There's the stockings that I have kitted up from Shepherd's Bush. And I don't remember what count fabric that is, but I did kit it up all in the pearl cotton. And that's a very dense pearl cotton. That's a much bigger one. But they are pretty, very pretty. And it's nice that you don't have to worry about straining them or anything.
That's, I think, if you bought the weeks, is that what you bought? Down at Salty Yarns?
I think so, yeah.
That's a number 5.
Yeah,
I think that they carry, so that's the heavier.
It is. It's nice. Yeah. So again, I would only stitch with 1 strand of that larger count fabric, but it's pretty cool. So anyway, our Country Stitchers party bus is growing for our travel to.
My sister-in-law is joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She and Barbara Jean, her sister, said, when you guys are going to that needlework shop, Barbara Jean and I might meet you and go there. We think that would be fun. It's like,
that'd be a lot of fun. Well, now we have to swing by Tennessee also.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, Mickey's down there. We could pick her up too.
Okay. All right. Oh, and then at some point we have to like swing.
Float.
Yeah, something float, something swing. We gotta go to the Outback.
Down under.
We gotta go down under.
We'll pick up a couple people down there.
just
Mel, pack your bag.
That's right. We'll tell our husbands we'll be back on Monday. And we just won't tell them what Monday. A couple months later.
We'll be back on a Monday. Yes, I did say that properly.
Oh my gosh. Oh, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I don't have any more comments, but I would like to show them something that I tried out. Can I do that?
Oh, yeah.
I used a product, and that reminds me I don't have one sitting here right this minute, but I have a picture of it, so you'll see it that way. I wanted to try something that I had not tried before. It's one of those things where it wouldn't take a long time, but you just have to get yourself organized to do it, and I hadn't. And so I had 2 pieces I had stitched when I had only been cross-stitching maybe a year. I'd gone into the local needlework shop and bought those little pre-finished jar lids that you can stitch the design on the ball jars. And I stitched them for my kitchen, which at the time was blue.
Shocker.
Imagine that. And I loved them, and I put them on 2 ball jars that actually still had the glass top with the clip. I bought them at a yard sale in Maine, and so they were, the one was almost tinted blue, and the other was clear.
Okay.
And I put them on there and displayed them in my kitchen. I filled them with pasta. It was really sweet on the corner. But over the years, they got very, very discolored. So this is a picture of them when I started the process. I hope I go the right way here. Yep. And that one was probably the most discolored, the little lemonade pitcher and lemons. So I set up a bowl in the sink, just a small bowl. I added the product, which is called Eucalyptus. It comes in 4 flavors: grapefruit, natural, lavender, and oh help, what's the other one? 4th one is not important. So I put in tepid water, it calls for, and then you are supposed to just squeeze the suds and water through your fabric. So really what this is not a laundry detergent. It's more of a water agent, which makes water wetter, if that makes sense. It just changes the chemical nature, and it goes through the fabric easier. So it pulls the dirt out. And this was them just kind of soaking and getting nice and clean. And I left them there while I baked a cake. Seriously, I made a cake. And I squished it up. And they got so clean. And look at that dirty water. Isn't that amazing? I couldn't believe that. That was really impressive. So then I hung them outside to dry after I got them, you know, just blotted a little bit. And I am so excited to show you what they look like. I put them back on a couple of little jars because they cleaned up so nice. So I now can tell you, if you ask.
And nothing bled.
Nothing. This all DMC, but
Yeah.
it did not bleed.
No, it didn't.
And if you're going to ask me now what I would recommend to use, this is definitely a product that I have tried, and I think it definitely shows positive results for taking out just everyday soil and dust and dirt that collects on finished pieces. So that was fun.
Yeah,
It was
that's
a little
pretty
home
cool.
experiment.
Makes water wetter.
Whoop, yes. What it does is it actually takes and exchanges. This is going to get so geeky. You're laughing at me. She doesn't really want to know what that means.
I just like that she said makes water wetter.
Okay. Yes. Those of you who are like-minded geeks know what I mean. It adds a molecule.
Oh gosh, that's funny stuff.
But it was fun
That's
to do.
pretty cool.
It was fun.
Are you going to keep them in your kitchen?
I am. I'm thinking of putting them somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I might change the jar on the short one so I can put something in it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hidden
Yeah.
by the skirt. So they're like, what
Yeah.
jar?
That's stumpy.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Very sweet.
I had one other piece of general news, though. When I flipped the last picture, I was reminded of it. We have had a relationship with Dimensions since the Scenic Farm Kit was reinstated, and we contacted them, and you people helped move that process through by sending the email we had put in our description box, and they put it back on their market in their range. Well, they have now released, they were due out May 20th.
There's my stock.
Their Christmas kits for this year. But because of the pandemic and the production and everything slowing down and shipping being slowed, they have finally come out. They are available on the Simplicity website. This is the one stocking that Deb and I are just both in love with.
Love it.
And you can go to Simplicity's site. And when you're there, this is also what the kit looks like. I love their new look. I mean, it's been out a while, but it's so modern looking. And this is just a little bit bigger picture of the stocking. And this is another one that's in the range. So check the description box and let them know how much you love them. Go out and order your stockings. And it's not too
There's
late in the
another
year.
one too. We don't
There
have a
is.
picture of it.
I
Okay.
had to go through their database to pull them up, and I hadn't
Okay.
gotten back to see if Jennifer sent me the pictures. But
Yeah.
if I get some more of the pictures, I'll show them in the next video. But
Okay.
that's
Or you could just go back and watch our Dimensions video and you'll see them all there.
yes. Deb has a section in our video, and if you go to our channel and look at our playlist, you'll see there's a playlist there of things that we've done and how-tos and tutorials, and I believe the Dimensions video is in there as well.
Okay. All right.
That alarm means Deb gets to give something away.
Yeah. So let's do our subscriber tributes first. We want to say thank you so much to those of you that subscribe, and so we like to pass something along, usually each video. This first subscriber tribute goes to Daily Stitcher, and these are your YouTube, your channel names, like when it comes up in our comments. Daily Stitcher, and you're going to be getting 4 charts by Kingsland, and they're all seasonal. So this is spring and summer.
These are 2-dimensional, right?
Yeah, they can
Or
be.
3-dimensional, I mean.
Oh, I love this one. And this
These are
one's
2-dimensional.
autumn.
And what they've done on
And
those
winter.
dimensions is they've stitched the quilt separately
Yeah, I was
and
just
then
gonna-
attached it.
Yeah, I was just going to let you know that you can do that if you wanted to. Stitch this separately, kind of like I did when I did my flag on my knee-high piece. If you didn't want to do that, though, you could just stitch it all as one. You don't have to do that, but these are really cool. And you could put them all together, too, or frame them separately. But these are really beautiful charts. And there's not tons of stitching, so you have plenty of time to get those finished. So thank
Very
you very
nice.
much. And then our next subscriber tribute goes to Alba Stitcher, and you will be receiving gifts
Courtesy.
courtesy by Fat Quarter Shop. And so you'll be getting the Bee in My Bonnet stitch cards by Lori Holt, and American Spirit, and you'll be getting the Line Keepers, a set of 4 of those. These will help you keep place in your chart. And also the Prim Project Bag. So if you can get a hold of us, or get a hold of me, in our description box is our emails, and you can email me and I will get these out to you. And also we want to announce our grab bag winners. Should we do that now?
These announcements that are coming up are our 10,000 subscriber giveaways. We don't want you to slow down on the subscriptions though. And thank you, you haven't. We're almost at 11,000 now.
Yeah, now we got to come up with something else.
I know.
So thank you so much. We want to put out some grab bags, and we chose 5 names that came up through the random generator picker when you used a certain word. So number 1 is Francine Rowland. Number 2 is Quilt Ma Sue. Number 3 is J Roth 311. Number 4 is Susan Hardy, and number 5 is Joanne Jones. So everyone, if you can get a hold of me and send me your address, like I said, my email is in the Dropbox, then I will get your grab bags out to you. And we also have one more winner for our 10,000 subscriber giveaway. We had mentioned the beach party set, and the lucky person that is getting that is Shirley Davis. So you will receive the entire kit for the beach party set, and Shirley, get a hold of me in the Dropbox, and we'll get all kinds of stuff sent out.
Do you still need the ring from me?
Ring. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. All right. Lots and lots of winners.
Awesome.
Okay.
What you been working on?
We both have been
Actually,
working
we skipped one. Do you want to back up, or do you want to just come around to it?
on. Doesn't matter to me, whatever you want to do.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay.
Drum roll.
I know. All right, so this is the, what's it called? I don't have my papers down here. Do you have your papers?
Mistletoe Lane? Is it the Christmas one?
Yeah, it's a Christmas one.
Mistletoe Lane.
Yeah. Did you bring your, what it's supposed to look like or anything like that? The picture?
Well, no, because all I have are the actual patterns.
Oh, you don't have the picture. Okay.
No.
I didn't bring the picture down. This is Mistletoe Lane. It was a Stitch Along with Fat Quarter Shop. It was a 5-part mystery series. Everything's out now, but I'm behind. So
Yeah, that makes
and
both of us.
check out my cool bag. Look at the barn. Isn't that awesome? Thank you, Linda Jo. Mine, I am still on week 2, and I'm doing mine on my own chosen fabric. Liz is doing it on the Overcast fabric that is through Fat Quarter Shop, and that's really pretty. That's really cool. I like that.
It's coming out.
Yeah, it is. I like that. So this is what I have so far. My banner is just done in a tent stitch, and 2 threads over 2. And then I have the garland there. I still need to hang my stocking, but I did just start my chimney for the house there. I decided to do my edging different here. I did it in like a red and white checkered because they had pink over here, and I'm not going to use the pink at all in this pattern. So that's what I have so far.
Okay. You know what?
that.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Put this next to it
Uh-huh.
and show them the difference. Mine's 2 strands over 1, but I'm doing mine on the Overcast.
Can
And
you see? Okay.
I think it's interesting that her banner and my banner, they don't look much different, but yet they're on a much different
True.
count.
Yeah.
The detail is the same. And then I got just a little bit down on the stocking,
Yeah.
but I have to finish the banner. I got a little filled with red, so I decided to work
Yeah.
my way down a little
Yeah.
bit and come back to that a little at a time. I enjoy that now more than I did just doing the whole banner at once. So I'm going to bounce back and forth.
Yep. And then I did French knots for my berries on my garland.
Cool. I
but
might
yeah,
try
that's-
that. That might make it fun too. Give
Yeah.
it a different texture. I like that. Even the red Delica beads, that would be cute too. If I put a
Yep.
few of those on here.
Yep. Yep. So I had a couple people ask what I was going to do with the house because the house is stitched in pink. And I do have an idea, but I'll have to show you that next time, hopefully. So I got a little bit done on that. Then I worked on my G Ledger, 1898.
Oh, did I
That I
order
love
that
so
yet?
much. I don't know.
We were talking about it last week. I was asking her where she got hers because I want to get my pattern, and I was out looking at different places, but I don't think, I think two of the places I looked for, they were temporarily out of stock, and I thought, well, I'll just wait. What you looking for?
I have no idea where my sampler is.
Oh. You brought it down?
Yeah.
What are you stitching it on?
Isn't that interesting? Wait, I'll find it.
What's
probably.
on the floor over
Why
there?
don't you
Is
go?
there anything over there?
No.
Okay.
How about if you
I'll pop
show
to
something and I'll...
There we go.
Is it in here too? Oh, whew. Heart attack.
That's a Liz right there.
Good Lord.
She pulled a Liz. I think that's funny.
Oh, I knew I brought it down. I'm like, I don't know where it is. Oh my gosh. All right, good. Yes.
I'm going to watch that part of the video over and
Oh
over
my
and over
gosh.
and over.
I was giving myself
It's
a heart
usually
attack.
me sitting here fumbling through things going, I just had it in front of me.
Oh my word.
Wow, is
This
that
is-
coming along?
Yeah, it's so
Nice.
much fun.
You're not putting it down, are you?
It's hard to.
Yep.
I mean, I know I have to stitch other things, but it's so much fun.
That border is really coming.
Thanks. This is what I have so far, and these are all my color conversions because I just wanted to pick something different than from, you know, what it calls for. It was a little too bright for me. And then I'm using the Q-tip with some coffee on it to stain it. Do you mind holding that side,
Not at all.
Liz? Thank you. To stain it in certain places because I want it to look really old and aged, like right away. And also that's why I'm not stitching certain areas. That if you look on the picture on the front, there's a few areas that, because it's, you know, obviously an old sampler, where it's the stitching is missing over time. So I'm going to go ahead and mimic that wherever that happens in the picture on the front. So I did get to this area here that I had to leave open and a couple breaks in the border. But then I just use that Q-tip with some coffee and go ahead and fill it in here and there wherever I want to just add a little bit of aging. And that's that. I think I've gotten back to everybody that has emailed me with the color conversions. So if you would like these, just go ahead and shoot me an email and I will be happy to show that to you. But that's so much fun. The house is almost finished. We have some more green over here to do and some more of the grass and stuff at the bottom. But
And the fabric that you're doing on, is that 40 count?
yes, it's 40 count.
Straw flour.
You say it this time. I'm not messing up.
It's not. It's not corn flour. I know
Then
that.
it's straw
That's
flour.
how we. Yes, it
Then
is.
it's straw
That's
flour.
how we came to the color discussion in the box. Was the corn flour blue? That was funny. That's another video right
But
there.
yeah,
You have to go back. And
40
watch it.
count straw flour.
Yes.
Okay. 40 count straw flour. And I bought that fabric at Salty Yarns. So, all right.
Right
so I
after
worked
they
on.
changed the name from
Yeah,
corn flour.
I know. Then I did work on my the Prim Stitch. So I got the first one finished, which is Patriotism and Industry. I cannot talk today. That is the chart. And you also can get the border outline. So you can stitch it all as one. There will be 12 charts all together. Or you can stitch them all separately and make them into ornaments or something. I'm going to do it all as one piece. However, I'm doing it over one, so it's going to be a lot smaller. And this is my first one that I got finished, and I got a little bit of the border.
I can't wait till
Finished
you see
also.
what I'm stitching it on.
I think I know. And then I did change a couple things. They were supposed to be pink up here in this star, and I made it yellow. And this heart, I made a deeper red. I did backstitch my bee, and I backstitched the bee scup here. Inside these flowers, it was supposed to be a little bit different of a color, and I changed it to the dark brown with the yellow. I liked that look better. And then for the flag, I actually did not cross stitch the red and white areas. I just did straight stitches, and then I did the stars in a cross stitch. So this is going to be really cute. I like how it's coming along.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And this is the Prim fabric. Again, 25 count, but I'm doing it over 1. So that's that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's really pretty.
I'm waiting on the next one to come because this one is not one that I'm putting in my design.
Okay.
I'm doing 10.
Oh, okay.
And should I say it or just wait and bring it in when I get started on it?
Yeah, just wait.
All right.
Yeah.
You'll have to wait
Yeah.
for mine.
Yeah.
I'm
But
waiting.
yeah, that's
we haven't
fun.
gotten the next pattern.
Not yet. Now
Okay.
it should be on its way. So you can still join this, and again, just get a hold of Fat Quarter Shop, and then you could join this series too. Alrighty. And I think, oh no, I did something else too. Kim put out another, Kimberly Young, she put out another Learning Stitches
She's with Sassy Jacks.
Stitch. So it is a class that Kim does, and it's through Sassy Jack. So you would just look up her videos, Sassy Jack Stitchery, and she'll explain everything about it. But you get this book, and it's a Jeanette Douglas book. It's called Learning Stitches Sampler. This sampler is actually included in this book. And there's 15 different stitches that you'll be doing. You can buy banding from Sassy Jacks. You can stitch on your own fabric. You can use your own threads, however you want to do it. So I'm using my own threads. A lot of them are silks, just whatever I had. And I was first buying banding, and I was going to do it on the banding, and I didn't like the look of it because I had a certain picture in my mind as to how I wanted it to look and kind of the layout of it. So I chose 40 count fabric that I had here at home, and went to town. So we just finished, I think, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 7. Lesson 7. And that was the, is it Florentine or Bargello? I think it's, oh heck, I don't know.
Can I see the stitch? The one at the bottom?
Yeah.
That's Florentine
Florentine.
because it's not Bargello.
It's Florentine.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Kim was saying it's interchangeable. The Florentine and the Bargello are the same stitch, just can be laid differently. So this one is what we're talking about down here. And that's the top. So this motif here is actually in that sampler in the book. This was lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I went ahead and put my monogram in here also. And then that's the squirrel that I decided to add in for Sassy Jacks, so that I'll always remember what that was. And then this red stuff, if you're wondering what that is, that's just a guide thread, so that I know exactly how wide to keep my my banding the whole way down. And that's what I worked on. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah, Florentine Bargello is the one that we just did.
I'm going to borrow your white paper.
Oh, yeah. How about it?
Okay. I was stitching Christmas in July just because I had a desire to. So I had started on, I think it's called Ebenezer's Blessings. It's by Erica Michaels Designs, and it's on silk gauze. And I started doing silk gauze just this year and am enjoying it very much. So I get nervous if I don't have one in going because it's so relaxing for me. I thought it would be very, very tedious. I would have to be focused. I could find, you know, sometimes you get tense when you're doing something that takes that much concentration. So I didn't think it would be as relaxing as my normal stitching on fabric with a larger count. It's just the opposite. I am so relaxed when I'm doing this. I am having such a good time. Mm-hmm. So I was really pleased with all those little motifs out on the sides. And the counting is probably the thing that I double check the most because I don't want to find out that I'm off on my count. So I do take my time on that. Then I did finish a little bit more on the trees. This is a pattern that I'm stitching by Kathy Barrick. It's called Reindeer Feed Sack. And I've changed up the colors in here a little bit. I've added a green to the color palette so it's not all red and white, just to give it a little depth on the on the trees and the snow under the reindeer. So that's what I'm doing there. And I'm using one thread to make it look a little farther away than the deer when I put it in. It's going to be a little bit more bold. So that's what I've
Very pretty.
done there. This is easy fabric to work on too. I was surprised. I thought this might be a little tedious because we did a project in a class one time on some of this fabric, you and I did. And for some reason, that fabric I had trouble counting, and I don't know why, but this is going really well.
I still have not started mine. You're going to beat me.
There's not much of a chance of that. I'm too spread out. Too slow. Too spread out. This one I did finish I'm at the halfway point on my Lizzie Kate Christmas one. I'm so glad I pulled this out of my archive and whip bin. So I just finished the Holy Night section. And I'm going to start on Magic Moments and... Nope, where am I? MERYCH. I'm going to start with the R and the I next. And then the S and the T. And then the last one, the M and the A are together, and then the S becomes the bottom of your piece. So I just have to figure out now how I actually want to finish this when I'm done, because the likelihood is that I might actually finish this before Christmas. It's actually going quite quick now. Like I said, I don't know why it was sitting in there that long. Probably just one of those things I set aside and didn't revisit.
I know.
This one is a lot of fun. I'm changing it up. I've been using, Deb showed these in our subscriber tribute. I'm using one of the line keepers from Linda at Fat Quarter on this one. But,
Lori.
Excuse me, Lori. And this Biscornu has multiple colors, and I've narrowed it down to just 4 primary colors, but I'm using overdyed. So I've changed that up, and I really am liking the outcome. I think you can see all the color changes that go on in this picture over here where my index finger is. And then I'll show you what it looks like now with the 4 overdyed. I like the way that pops out there.
Very pretty.
I like the boldness of those colors. So I just went through my floss palette and pulled out the ones that I liked for that, and am working along on it. Speaking of floss palette, thank you for your comments. People keep running across the video that Deb and I did a Floss Friends where my husband had just mounted the palette on the wall for me, and we showed it in that video. He's got the measurements, and they will be in the description box on this video. So if you had contacted me or left a comment about having the dimensions on that, that's where you'll find it. So be sure to look. I asked him and reminded him last night, and then when I was getting things together in the craft room, I heard, and I well, it'll be in the description box. Don't sweat it. It was kind of funny. I knew I was going to lose him anyway. He got up really early in the morning, so I knew that was going to happen. I'm going to back up a minute here and just show a FIP. This is a finish in progress that I talked about earlier that we do from time to time. I had stitched a little ornament quite some time ago. Actually, I stitched multiple ornaments from this magazine. This is the 2005 Just Cross Stitch Ornament Collection. They do this annually. It's one of my favorite things to look forward to and see what they've come out with from all the designers. But this is the little tyke up here that I stitched. It's got a little tree that came. We did this on, I think it was a Saturday Stitcher project out in Illinois. And I wanted to do something different with it. So I'd been going through all the little boxes I have, and I mounted it in the lid of this little tin. And all I did was adhese it to the inside using some Yes glue, and then I just put a little piece of cardboard over the back of it to finish it off. And ultimately, I'm going to put a small cushion and batting in the bottom with a magnet, so your needles will sit there nice and neat, and your scissors can sit in there as well, or anything else you have. And then I'll put a little piece of fabric to finish off the top as well that matches what I put in the bottom. But I had several ideas about what could be done to the tin, and One thing that crossed my mind was, you know how popular it is now to take those paper mache boxes
Yeah.
and use either fabric or tissue, as in tissue paper, and put it and decorate the outside. It is kind of a snug fit. I don't know how that would affect it in that regard. But the other thought was doing some painting, and you had
that's
some
what I think.
neat ideas for that.
I think painting it would be really cool because she could paint it with either that red color or the green first, and then see that copper in that tree there. You could get that copper paint, you know, the more of like the iridescent, and then you could just sponge that on certain places on the box. And I think that would be really pretty instead of going with like a patterned tissue paper or anything. I think that'd be really sharp looking.
Okay.
It'd be really, very, very pretty.
And you said you would use a sponge to put that on, right?
The copper, yeah.
Just the copper.
Just the
so
copper.
you would
I would paint
brush
the rest of it.
Okay.
Well, I'd spray paint this even. You could brush it or whatever paint you want to get.
Okay.
You know, but
Do they have acrylic spray paint, or would
would
you be buying like the Crypto, or I mean, what would you buy if you were going to spray it?
Oh, I would just go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get stuff there. I mean, Hobby Lobby has some spray paints too.
Okay.
They don't have as much of a selection
Okay.
as they do at like Lowe's.
Okay.
But that's such a little piece.
Yeah.
You know, you could just get a little craft bottle and paint it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
but I think that would look really pretty bringing out the copper of that tree.
Mm-hmm.
Very pretty. And then you could even do like a little ribbon around that top part there where there's that lip. You know, the whole way around. You could do some kind of trim because that would easily come off. I mean, it wouldn't bother opening it or closing it. I think that would be cool too.
And then what would you think about? It's probably kind of hard to see, but there's a bead of like a wire that runs around to hold that plastic in and finish off this edge, and it's kind of rough looking. Could you put a piece of something complementary around the inside here that would match the ribbon on the outside? Would you run anything in here, or do you think the paint would take care of that?
Yeah, I would just paint it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't like to get, I don't know, you don't want to get too much in there.
Okay.
Do you want to keep that in there, that plastic?
I thought it might protect that. You would take it out?
I probably would have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mounting it then,
Yeah, if you can figure out a way to get that mounted in there and take it out.
okay.
I mean, you don't have to, but that'd be kind of cool if you took it out and it was puffed up just a tiny bit too. Not a lot, just like the littlest bit. That would be really sharp.
Yeah. I'll have to see how much give I have on the size of it.
I was going to say, it's already cut.
It's trimmed just outside of
Yeah.
the mount, but it goes, I mean, it's got probably 1/4 of an inch all the way around.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. You could just leave it in. I just thought that'd be kind of cool, you know, pushing it up a little bit and getting that off.
I'll have to see what I can do.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now
Pretty,
there's
pretty,
a little more
pretty.
progress to go on the finishing progress. And we will get back to that.
Was that an Altoids? Or was that
no. This had something like either a deck of cards,
Oh.
something that you saw, or note cards or something was
Oh,
inside that. That's why it had the plastic on it. Yeah. Now all my Altoids all have Altoids all over the outside, and they're all solid on the top, all my
Okay.
containers. I don't
Okay.
think Altoids has ever done anything with a
No?
see-through top.
Okay.
In fact, this may have even been just a tin I bought in a bin of tins, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? How you
Yeah.
can find it?
Yeah.
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
But I do have one that's a little larger than this, with this type of top on it that has Labrador note cards in it as well.
Oh, really?
So that's what made me think this might have been note cards, but it might not have been. Never know.
Never know.
Never know.
Never know where you'll find a finishing item.
Speaking of which, Rick took me out to the grocery store, and it was hot. Oh my gosh. Early last week when it was still so hot, and just going in for some produce and bread, and I grabbed a cream soda out of the case because I like cream soda, and I wanted to try Boylan's because I like Boylan's every now and then. And I had bought a needle minder online a long time ago that said Boylan on it, and it got my attention because I like soda, so I bought that. And then when I came out of the produce store, I thought, oh my gosh, I just bought a Boylan soda. Wonder what the cap looks like. Well, it's a completely different top on it, so I turned that into a needle minder as well. So now I have dueling Boylan needle minders. So this is Boylan Bottling Company, and this is Boylan, what's this one say on it? Bottling Company, but they've completely redone their logo. Isn't that funny?
That is
so
cool.
Now we have a set. I spend too much time playing, not enough time stitching. Oh, let's do something else.
All right.
We didn't give away enough yet.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
I have a kit.
Cute.
Yeah, this would be fun. Especially if you have a bird or like birds. This was a kit. It was in a monthly mailing, some kind of a club I had signed up with at Silver Needle. And when it came, I thought it was cute because it reminds me of the Just Nan sewing kit that I was doing. So it's a bird cage. And in here is not only the fabric and the threads to stitch it, which it's not a complex stitch. It wouldn't take a long time. But the entire finishing kit is also in here. I purchased that along with it. So if you have an interest in the pattern called Tweet Hearts, in the comments, why don't you put tweet? That gives a new meaning to tweet, doesn't it? And we'll let this have a new home. So this is the adoption for today. If you're interested, put tweet in the comments.
Tweet.
Tweet.
That's so tweet.
It is very tweet.
All right, what's up next?
Where are we?
What do we have?
Oh my gosh.
Are we Gadget Corner?
Not quite.
No?
I bought some stuff. Let's see what I bought.
Yeah.
And I want to show them. You know what? Let's do our basic moment first.
Okay.
Because I've been chatting enough about my stitching. So we're taking a moment every now and then to look at basics in stitching for some of our new stitchers who are viewers of our channel. And we're going to look today at needles, and Deb's going to look at
fabric, in like where you start on your fabric. Everybody, I think, has, well, I mean, maybe it depends on when you learn, like how you learned, who taught you. I know that's why I am usually a middle starter, because that's how Gigi taught me to find the middle of my fabric, middle of your chart, and that's where I tend to stitch from. However, I have started in the upper left-hand corner also, depending on what the chart is. And Liz was always a corner starter.
Yep.
Although now, once in a while, she'll kind of play around. Because I remember her saying...
It's a good example of playing around. That is not the corner.
Yeah, and I remember her saying a long time ago, I had started something and I was in the middle of this design, and it was fun because there's a lot going on, a lot of fun stuff in the middle. And she's up on the border and she goes, "That's boring. Why don't I start in the middle?" You know, so...
I said to her, "You always have so much fun. You jump in at what looks like the best place to start." And I said, and I was told to always start in the upper left corner. I said, this is just really boring.
Yeah, yeah. But some charts you do want to start in the corner. It just depends. So if you are a middle starter, or if you think that, you know, that's where you would like to start, then what you're going to want to do is find the middle of your fabric. And again, you know, you're going to fold it one direction and fold it the other, and of course you're going to have the middle of your fabric. You're then going to look on your chart, and there's a little arrow at the top and a little arrow on the side, pretty much on every chart, right?
Yes. If it's a really small kit, sometimes they don't mark them, but usually...
Usually they're there? Okay, I don't think I've ever seen one not marked, but it could be. And then you're going to follow those arrows, and when they come to the center and meet, that is the center of your design. So you found the center of your fabric, the center of your design, and that's where you would start then and work your way out. That's what I usually do. But sometimes, and it doesn't matter if it's linen or if it's Ada or anything, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to fold it both directions and, you know, kind of finger pinch it so you can get a good crease, and that's where you'll start. But you could also start in a corner, upper left, bottom left, wherever you want to, and you can find a corner gauge. Now, this one is super cool, and we were blessed by our friend Willa. Her son made these for us, and the really cool thing about these, well, Liz did a Gadget Corner on corner gauges,
Yep.
but this is so cool because a lot of people will either come in 2 inches or 3 inches. So you have the 2-inch mark, the 2.5, and the 3-inch mark, all in this sweet little thing.
And
so
that's really the decision to do that is based on how you had your fabric cut. If you had it cut with a 2-inch margin or a 3-inch margin.
So you would just, you know, put your corner gauge there, and like I said, this one's so cool because you can just seriously stick your needle in, and you know, no muss, no fuss. If you don't have anything fancy like this, you can use a Post-it note, and that's 3 inches. You can bring that in, and wherever the corner of the Post-it note is, you can start there. A lot of stores also have corner gauges, and they have their logos on them, and they'll hand them out as gifts or in certain packages or something. So just remember though, like Liz said, you do, if you're going to come in from the corner 2 inches, 3 inches, you want to make sure though that you have enough fabric for your design to fit, and enough for finishing also. You want to think ahead of time, do I need 3 inches? Do I need 2 inches? Am I going to frame it? Am I going to finish it off by hand? You know, that all then determines how much fabric you would leave. And if it ever makes you nervous, go on the heavy side until you get used to it. You know, definitely do a 3-inch border if that makes you nervous. Liz and I hardly ever do a 3-inch border anymore, only because we'll try to squeeze as much as we possibly can into a piece of fabric and, you know, go from there. But I think it's just, again, all that's personal preference too. A lot of times at stores, when they'll cut fabric for you, they'll ask, you know, they will ask you, do you want a 2-inch border, 3-inch border?
So when you're looking at your pattern, if you're a new stitcher, there usually is some comment there as to how that model was done, whether that model was done on what type of fabric and what the cut of the fabric is, and then they'll tell you what they used on that size fabric for their margin. So you can find that on your pattern too, so that you know.
Yeah, and if you're not going to stick with what they did, then you'll have to make sure you're using your cross-stitch calculator. You know, remember the what's it called? The night...
Stitching the Night Away.
Stitching the Night Away app that we would show on the phone. That's fantastic because you would put in your stitch count, and you would put in the count of your fabric, and you would put in if you want to stitch it over 2, over 1. I mean, all of your information's right there, and they calculate it for you how much fabric you need. So, but really all we were, all I was supposed to be saying was where to start on the fabric. Where, are you a middle starter or are you an edge starter? I would say I'm 90% middle starter. But
and after stitching on the left corner long enough, thinking I did have to start there because it had a border the whole way around what I was stitching, and then getting to the end of that border and finding out it didn't match up,
oof,
that's when I decided I wasn't stitching a whole border anymore. I was going to stitch my border as I developed my pattern, and I could make sure that there were checkpoints I could look to make sure I was still at the right place with the border, because boy, that's tough when you've
but that's a good point. You're right.
Foot.
Some people like to get that border done first, and that would drive me insane.
If you get it done and you've done it correctly, it's a great reference point for where everything else falls in. But if you make a mistake, you got a lot of border to do over.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
That would drive me crazy, though. I would not do the whole border. I don't think I've ever done that. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
I'd get so bored.
Those 2 samplers I have at home that I
was gonna say,
didn't give away.
Oh, well, but you're doing one, your Christmassy, your Blackbird one. Didn't you do the whole border?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. For the very reason that I said, now that's a small sampler, though.
Yeah.
And so that's why I didn't mind that, because I could make sure that there were only, I think, 12 maybe repeats of the flower that went across the top. So it was easy to make sure I had each section of the border lined up. And that one I did not make a mistake. It made me, I felt encouraged when that connected, and it was like, okay, now we'll go to step 2. But that sampler, I did the border because then I could play off the border and start an alphabet in the middle or put a motif in the corner. And I used it as sort of my easy guide the whole way around the outside.
Okay.
So there's no, like Deb said, no rhyme or reason. It's, again, we're such preference people.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Want everybody to be happy.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Yes.
So
Needles.
let's talk needles. I tried to come up with an easy way to do this, and I'm going to try to stick to the basics of needles, but there's a couple things that I will reference in the description box for you. And you'll also find in our previous videos, we did a Gadget Corner on needles. And one of the things we talked about was the needle cards. They're called needle ID cards. They're by Access Commodities. These are wonderful.
Yeah, they are cool.
There's 2 specific cards in here that become every stitcher's friend because, wow, they're loaded.
They really like you.
And there's 2 basic types of needles that you'll use when you're doing cross stitch. One of them is your tapestry needle, and there are multiple sizes. And the other one is your chenille needles. And the difference being really, chenille needles have a point, a very, very defined point to them. And your tapestry needles have a blunter, more blunt point on them. Now, these are the ones we're going to focus on today. I have this little Art Bend magnetic box that actually was perfect for this demonstration.
Yeah.
It's my friend. On this side, you'll see there are 2 gold needles. Sure, thanks. There's 2 gold needles here. Doesn't really matter the size. I was just showing that there are different finishes to your needles. These happen to be gold. These are basic tapestry needles starting at size 20. And then, let's see, how did I do that? 20, 22, 24, and 26 right there in a row. And you'll see they get a little shorter as the number gets larger, which makes no sense at all, but that's how they did it. And then the width of the needle also changes, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. And then this fella over here is a chenille needle, and I put that there just because when I get my big fat finger out of the way, you'll see that it has a definite point on the bottom of it, as opposed to the ones that are tapestry needles over here. So if you use needles often enough, you'll get to recognize when they're laying there what the different needles are. But you can actually lay your needle right on these guides, and they match up right to the guide. These guides are often replicated in the back of a magazine. A lot of the English magazines would give you free things with each magazine. I'll bet I collected 4 needle guides over the years that I subscribed. They just slip them in, and they're just a little plastic guide. They had everything from counting your fabric and knowing what fabric count you had and different dimensions for inch guides on your fabric count, as well as the needle guide, all on the same chart. So that was kind of nice. So once you've gotten your tapestry needle, the basic needle that comes in all the kits is generally a 24 count or a size 24 needle. And that's your standard needle. This is a John James. And then there's the different sizes I mentioned, and then they're going to twist it up on you a little bit and do what's called petite needles. Those are my favorite. Those are what I stitch with most of the time. They're shorter than the standard tapestry needles, and because I like to use the sewing method to stitch, it works perfectly for me because it's just the right length to just keep going. So I enjoy that.
One needle's bent. I was looking at that.
Oh, I know. Isn't that funny? That's just... Deb texted me a couple of weeks ago. It's number 2.
I break them all the time.
Hers snap off, right? At the
Yep, right there.
at the eye.
Yep.
And this one looks like it might have been a candidate for her.
That was a dead
'cause
needle.
It was definitely starting to lean
It's
like
a little crooked.
the Tower of Pisa there. There are also different types of needles that aren't considered just tapestry. One of the ones we refer people to often is a ballpoint beading needle. This is size 10, and it's by John James, and it has a nice blunt end on it. It's very narrow, and it's wonderful for stitching on high count fabrics. I like it for 40 count. Sometimes I use it on 36. I've definitely been using this on my silk gauze.
Oh, good.
It's a nice dimension. The diameter of the shaft is a nice dimension for higher count fabrics. How you choose your needle, if you're using tighter and tighter fabric, which is more threads per inch, you're not going to want a large shaft on your needle because it'll open that fabric up and then you'll be left with a gap around your threads. So you use the smaller or higher count needles as you go on. Another type needle that you might want would be beading needles. In general, have one that just, this cracks me up. These look, I don't know, they don't look like they belong on a thread. They're a twisted wire and they have an open eye at the end. They actually are fun to use when you're beading because the texture on the twisted wire, and that's probably not going to be easy for you to see, but it has a big eye at the end here. And it just holds your bead a little bit tighter on the needle itself because of that texture and the twist. So that's what I like about it. So depending on what I'm beading,
And they're
I
bendable.
might use these, and very flexible, yeah. And then Deb's perusing. These needles I have not gotten used to. I think if I could sit at a stand and use both hands, I might be interested in it. But they're called a twin pointed tapestry needle. Notice there's no eye on that needle because it's directly in the center of the needle. So what it's made to do is for you to come up through your fabric, not turn your needle and go back down through your fabric. And you just pass this back and forth with the eye in the center.
That would definitely take some getting used to.
I have not gotten used to it yet, but I will admit that I haven't, because I don't sit with my arms extended doing two-handed stitching. I haven't spent a lot of time trying to get friendly with it or get jiggy with it. And then oftentimes you'll get needles in kits. I've collected needles out of all my kits. I carry those to a retreat. People say, oh, does anybody have a needle? They're easy to give away. They even come pre-wrapped. And then the magazine, the little ones in the back there, the magazines that we used to get from overseas with the freebies they would put in would often stick in a little pack of needles. Some of them would be sewing needles and some of them would be tapestry needles. So
Yeah.
but basically, if you're stitching on a standard 14 or 28 count, that's pretty much a 14, or excuse me, 14. That is a 14 count. That's pretty much a 24 count needle. You wouldn't want to go super small with that because then your threads would start to curl up on you if your needle and the size of the hole that you're using causes the thread to twist more. If you're stitching along and you don't know why you have to drop your needle every time to take the twist out, you might change the size of your needle to a little larger needle so it opens that weave up a little bit more and lessens the twist when your thread comes through. So that's about the only thing that I can think of that I pay attention to when I'm stitching is the count and making sure I'm not using either a needle that's too large and leaving a gap there or too small and not opening it up for your threads.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we all have preferences, and mine is pretty much a 26 petite.
Petite. Yeah.
For most of what I do.
Yeah, I like the petites.
And they make them all the way down to a 24. It's kind of a funny looking needle. It looks more like a little tube because it's so fat and it's so short. It's just very weird dimension. They make ribbon embroidery needles also. That was very popular. I think a lot of people still do it. It's not something that I ever added to my bailiwick of needlework. But so there'll be a link to our Access Commodities cards. You can find these. And hopefully for our new stitchers, that'll give you some idea of why there's so many choices in needles.
Try them all.
Yes. Come one, come all. I did not, I'll do this quickly. I don't want to hold up the works, but Deb went on to Fiber Arts, Fiber Talk, excuse me,
Yeah.
with Gary a few weeks ago. And while she was there, they were doing giveaways and they had sponsors. And one of the sponsors they had was Fire Poppies. And one of the things Fire Poppies donated for them to give away was a kit that I had seen Pat talk about from the Nashville Galleria by Erica Michaels, and it was called Lions, Tigers, and Trims, Oh My. And if you've watched many of our videos, you know I stitch a lot of Just Nan patterns, and this I fell in love with. It's gorgeous. It came from them packaged with a little vanilla Charleston chew, which I thought was cute, all tied up with a nice ribbon. And it's got two big packages. This was designed for the shops to take a class, and then if they took the class, then they were able to sell the kits.
Oh.
And so Fire Poppies was one of the ones, I guess, who did that while they were in Nashville. And it came with the pattern. The threads are 2 colors. That's all you're stitching with, and that's the color of the fabric. It's very pretty. It's called Seraphim, and the color is Somerville Sky. So it's Seraphim linen, which I have never used their linen before, and Somerville Sky is the color of that fabric.
Pretty.
And then this is the fun part.
Ooh, pretty.
These are all the finishing things that come with it when it's time to put it together. Everything from the silk ribbon to the chenille and the lady dot pom-pom, and then the needle rings, or thread rings, I mean. So, and a nice velveteen fabric.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Isn't that pretty? Look at those tiny little dots.
Oh.
Actually, I should show that because it's kind of hard
The
to
little pom-pom.
appreciate when they're all jammed in there together. Yeah, let's open this puppy up. This is the velveteen, and it came with the stabilizer too for inside. A lot of times you'll get a kit and it'll tell you you need stabilizer or you need Skirtex, but I was happy to see that was inside. So there's the velveteen, very pretty.
Very pretty.
And Deb's got the selection of trims.
Pretty. And then a silk ribbon.
And of course it's blue, which got my attention.
Yes.
And then some really pretty pins to go in it and some thread rings. So
Very cool.
this is going to be in my up and coming,
That feels good.
can't wait to do it, start it, stitch it.
Pretty.
And I waited a while for this. I ordered it literally the first time I watched Deb's video with Gary, and I saw it and I was like, I have to see if I can get that. And I only got it in the mail. When did I tell you I got it? Week
Oh,
before last, maybe.
yeah.
So it took a little while, but everything, I think Deb and I are finding things are slow just because of the pandemic. It takes a while to get things in the mail.
Yep.
So I'm anxious about that.
That's beautiful.
That's kind of my birthday present to me.
Aw.
That's what I decided to do because I thought, oh, nobody's asked me, meaning Rick never asked me what I wanted for my birthday. He got me a nice picture. It's a sort of a country looking picture. It's like one of those wooden box that you set up. You know, it's, you know what I mean. Kathy's Primitives has a lot of them. It
okay.
has a picture on the front, but it's got like from the back it would be looking like a shadow box because it's kind
Okay.
of framed,
Yeah.
like a cube almost.
Yeah.
And it has a little saying about love on it. It's really
Aw,
nice.
Cute.
So that's in the craft room.
Cool.
But I did manage to get to Hobby Lobby. I found this ribbon sachet stash of stuff. $1.99. It was 50% off. It always is at Hobby Lobby. But it was filled with all kinds of ribbon. These are the broader ribbons, the smaller ones that I might use on my pillows and things. I dropped in my big ribbon jar.
Cool.
But I thought for $2 it'd be worth sorting through and finding out
yeah.
what was in there. So I was happy
Yeah.
I did that. I did get a handful of DMC flosses that I was missing. The 3700 range. I picked up some fill-ins for my colors. Isn't that weird? 400 and who knows how many colors they have now, and you can still not have the one you're looking for.
Yeah.
That is amazing to me. When you go out and you buy them all and then they're missing. But this was the fun part too. You had said to me when I stitched my little With a Needle and Thread by Brenda Gervais, my little thimble purse, that maybe I ought to look for a ball and chain or some kind of chain. And I had tied it to a satin ribbon or silk ribbon just to show it when I finished it. But I do like that.
I like it. Yeah, it's great.
It's very nice.
Yep.
This was Deb's thoughts. I didn't even know if I could find it, but it's a nice, it matches the
It
sort
does.
of pewter finish on there nicely. I think I'm going to shorten it because it sort of hangs at my waist when I wear it. And it would make it easier to display too. But I also stuck in here another one that I got. You know, we were putting the, and my thimbles out of my thimble purse. They're stuck on the chain. Come back here. All right. So at least you know the thimble purse works.
Yeah.
They're in there. This one I got because that other little silk gauze that I showed that has the design last week, and you picked out the one on the bottom right of those 4 pendant designs that are
Oh, yeah, yeah.
over 40 count silk gauze.
Yeah.
That would match the silver on that one.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, while I'm here, I might as well get it. I kind of liked that because look at the links are long, and remember
like
that that one is like that size. So I thought it might go well with it. It has
Oh,
a
yeah.
longer link to it. So that I think I'll use to finish the other piece.
Yeah, this was perfect.
And they're not that expensive at Hobby Lobby. These were $3.50. The ball chain was, I think, $1.99. And they're
Very cool.
36 inches, so
Yeah.
got plenty of stuff.
Nice.
And these are what I'm going to start working on my pillows
Fun,
with.
fun.
Yes. This I had. You might remember that. That's from Hobby Lobby ages ago. This was in my stash. It's a kind of a gray and white ticking looking. And there is a difference in ticking versus what I bought too, but I told him, you know what? It's the look I'm going for, technically speaking, and quilting. No, I don't worry about that.
This is my favorite.
This is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know in my craft room, this looks every bit the same color as this.
Oh, yeah?
In my lighting.
Yeah,
And I kept saying to myself, I know I bought celery. I know it said celery on the bolt.
That's beautiful.
This is a heavier fabric. It's kind of almost a denim sort of broadcloth. But I love the celery color. And so I'm going to use that on maybe even some of the Christmas ones. And then this taupe colored one.
That's very pretty too.
I like
yeah,
that.
I like that.
So this one will also be a nice neutral. I figured I could use that on holiday or not holiday. And then this one
And there's your
spoke
blue.
to me. Yes. And I have a couple of Christmas ones that actually have blue in them that would make this a nice backing with the darker fabric. So we'll
Yeah.
see how it works out.
Nice.
So that was my fabric shopping.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That is not the usual fabric that Liz picks. So I'm impressed.
Thank you. All right. Shall we roll up to Gadget Corner?
Yeah.
All right. This is a duo Gadget Corner. Deb had some things here that she uses and shared with me too. I'm at the point where I'm starting to finish some things thinking about the holidays and ornaments and ways to finish them. And I have 2 forms that were specifically for that when I picked them up. One of them is by Stony Creek. It's a gold trim finishing kit. It's more of, they call a flat fold finish. And it's got the chipboard for inside your piece, And then it's got this nice sort of foil finish chipboard that you then mount the piece that you've wrapped and laced onto, and it leaves a gold edge as well as the back of it's then gold also. And then that ribbon that comes with it too. I think they use that just for the top and the sides. So they wrapped
Pretty.
They wrapped it a little bit around the sides and then the top. And this is, looks to be like, what, 4x4? I think it's about the right size. 3.5, sorry. 3.5 square.
Measure it.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I looked at it. I thought it looks bigger. It is a little bigger. So that's from Stony Creek. And then this one I bought at Hobby Lobby. It was the largest one at the time. And I thought that would be really nice. No, I did not. I misspoke. I'm sorry. I picked this one up at Salty Yarns. They have a larger one at Hobby Lobby as well, but this one I got right at Salty Yarns. So that'll be fun. I actually have one in mind for that one. Yeah. And then these are the smaller ones that Deb had. These are definitely Hobby Lobby. These are the, what did it say, 1.5? Yep, 1.5 inch. And they're just like doing, if you've ever sewn and used a button cover set to cover a button, that's the basic idea behind these forms. You're just going to snap it in. And these are fun. These are from Tim Holtz. I'm guessing Joann's maybe. Is that where you found these?
Hobby Lobby, I think.
Hobby Lobby?
Yeah.
Okay. I picked up a couple of these at Joann's as well. And these are really easy to use. You mount your fabric inside. I have a little ornament I did, and I actually even took advantage of the depth of the casing for the little watch and put some small white beads in for snow on that Santa's reindeer one. That was fun. So there's lots of, you get double the fun. There's lots of forms that you can use where you don't have to cut out a chipboard and do different things like that in order to finish your small ornaments. And these are just some of them. So hopefully that'll spark some creativity as you think about it. We are going to be wrapping up here, but before we do, I just want to mention how much we appreciate all of the other floss tube creators and local needlework shops that are doing their best to get what we need to us during this time, whether it's reduced numbers of shoppers, change in hours, doing mailings. There's been all kinds of creativity from people to help us connect with what we enjoy. So thank you. And to the designers who are putting out some really fun little things to do during this quarantine time. For some of us, it's still pretty confining. So we're going to be looking at our next normal formatted video. We're going to be looking at something that we've put some time into over the last few months, investigating and using. We did a video, it's got to be quite a while ago, maybe a year ago, maybe a little more than that, on floor stands and stitching frames. And those are, there's quite an array of those, and I've been looking at them because of my own limitations with how I can sit and stitch and be comfortable. So we're going to spend a good deal of time in our next video looking at something that we think any stitcher would benefit from. So don't forget to check us out next time you see we have a new video. We may have a Floss Friends in between now and then. In fact, I'm pretty sure we will, because we're going to do some stitching. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right. So don't forget, if you want to be included in the giveaway, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. And let us know what you're interested in. And as always, share the joy of needlework. Bye-bye.